tell us more about what your technology would replace?
I don't like to use the word replace. I like to use the word as the alternative to. Our first generation of technology lends upon the current viscose rayon processing, but we do have changes and derivatives from that, making us unique because of our raw material. What we may replace, or what we may positively impact, is the process before viscosing, which is called crafting, which is the chemical extraction of cellulose from trees. We can bypass this entire process, and with that comes with many benefits, apart from not using the chemicals that come from the trees, what we use to take out of the trees, but also the byproducts and effluents that come from the trees, for example, hemicellulose and lignin. Now, the nerds amongst us would understand what that means.
Why should investors be interested in this?
I think investors should be interested is because, firstly, what I mentioned before about taking a process completely out of it is not only a cost-saving exercise, it's also an environmental up. Big tick, big smile. And I think that the next generation of textile manufacturers, and I like to consider ourselves one of the other green crusaders that are out there, are going to try to get from A to B much faster and much more efficient and with a better environmental impact. And we tick many of those boxes. One thing I didn't mention that we base our raw material on is that we use it from fermentable waste from different food and liquid food streams. For example, our current raw material, microbial cellulose, we have been working closely with the coconut industry and using the byproducts from the coconut industry. Now, just to put that in perspective, those wastes normally get treated so they become water compliant so they can go out. Well, we're taking that with no more treatment and extracting something from that and cleaning that up and then using that and utilizing that, repurposing, recycling, pick an adjective that you like. And by doing so, we're using waste. Now the fibers that come from that waste are fibers that come from trees, so now we don't have to use the trees. So I think we tick 2 boxes. I could brag and say 3, but I'll just go with 2 at the moment. Our input comes, or our feedstock comes from waste. And from that we can repurpose it and make a raw material. Here's where I get excited, okay? Not everywhere in the world you can grow cotton, but everywhere in the world has waste. So therefore, some countries that have no textile backbones at all, they may have an opportunity now to repurpose their waste and become microbial cellulose producers, putting that stuff in sacks and sending it to the industry in the place of trees and plants.
How quickly could you scale this innovation?
Well, we have 2 headwinds that I like to think that we're going to turn into tailwinds pretty quickly. The first one, if I talk just about the technology, well, we're not changing the fiber factory, we're just giving the fiber factory a new recipe to use. So that's going to be easy to scale because that infrastructure already exists. The big one to go after for us is our supply and our supply chain and the ecosystem around that. There are already related industries in the places that we work with and infrastructures that we can lend to that will help us scale quickly. But in the end, we do want a standalone, full-wall, turnkey solution that we can roll out different parts of either a whole country or countries that don't even have it right now. And that's going to take a while. I wish I could tell you, if I could look at the textile gods and say, hey, how long is this going to take me? I'd like to say within a short amount of time, but I think that the first generation will have to be within the first 12 to 18 months of our life. And we're already 7 months old, so in the next 15 months, exactly.
If you could change one thing, improve one thing in the next 5 years, you only can choose one, to improve the impact of textile production on the supply chain, on the environment, what would that be?
God, that's a great question. One thing, I would have to say that we'd have to change the way we see, the way we measure impact. We can say that, hey, it's better than before. I like to use the word less bad, but what I'd like to see is a different type of measurement that we put on things that basically consumers can have a look at it. As they pick up cans of food to see how much sugar, how much carbohydrates in it, we should be able to see how you can pick up a garment and say, this garment's impact on a scale of 1 to 10 is whatever it is. And that should be at least the decision point, or at least an inflection point that customers' consciousness can say, you know what, that's pretty, but that's also pretty bad because it does this, and I'd rather go with that. I feel better about myself. So I think that the way we measure and communicate that out, I think is a big thing that we should go after.
So you're a big supporter of SACs and the Higg Index?
Yeah, I think all those black belts are doing a fantastic thing, and I like to look at it as that one may be measuring in centimeters and one may be measuring in inches, but they're all going to work to some type of measurement at some point that will interface and coalesce with each other. That whether you speak English or whether you speak an Asian language or a European language, at some point you're going to realize that even though I don't know what it says in English, I do see what it does, and I think that they're doing a great job.